Don in London. Hello, it's March 25th, 2013, and the Arctic weather is still with us, so it's chilly. Anyway, my videos are all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance, alcohol, it got me in the end, from convivial, joyful to dependent, through to self-medicating away the pain of life, and then self-harming because I couldn't stop, and finding myself in all sorts of difficulty, including being revived when close to the end, and silly things happening, and homelessness for years. All that stuff happened, and now, one day at a time, living sober, and hopefully sharing a message of experience, strength and hope which might be helpful. So what helped me? I was very lucky because some professionals, I went to hospital, to the emergency department, and said, I'm an alcoholic and I don't know what to do, and they made me sit and wait until I was enough sober to hear what they had to say and to share what had happened to me. And I was lucky. Somebody said, well, I know you're an alcoholic, but the first thing is you need a roof over your head and you can't keep on tramping around the streets and hiding. And they sent me to a unit which would put a roof over my head temporarily and then see what next. And they asked me, what should I be doing? And I said, well, the only place I know where I'm going to get help on a continuous basis is Alcoholics Anonymous. And they said, well, why not go? You know what to do. And they were right. And I had to stop being angry. I had to stop feeling entitled to something like a better life. And I had to feel that no expectation was better than having any expectation at all. Because any entitlement and expectation at that stage would always be a resentment under construction. So letting go and asking for help, and doing this in the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, meant that people knew I was struggling and I needed help. If you're in the fellowship of AA, you know I don't speak for you, because nobody speaks for another person in the fellowship of AA. We are trusted servants and not leaders, and we certainly don't speak for the fellowship as a whole, because there are no leaders and there are no spokespersons. At the same time, I am sharing how AA, the fellowship, has given me a toolkit to help me live sober and then work out what to do with my life. Sometimes one day at a time, and sometimes a bit more long-term planning, depending on what it is I feel I need to do as a useful endeavour in my life, and to live as well as I can, without drink, without drugs, as much as possible, although some are necessary because of other conditions I've got, because I've lived long enough to get them. Anyway, fellowship of AA, it helps me, and I'm going to share the AA preamble and then some of my daily reflections. The AA preamble is hopefully said at the beginning of every meeting of the fellowship that you might attend. So if you are a newcomer, this is what is said, and it explains exactly what AA can do and really what it's not there to do. So here's the AA preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. So it's about that. It's about how to be sober. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. And for those of you who may be not there yet, like I was, I had no desire to stop drinking. I wanted it to solve all my problems and magically make life okay. It wouldn't, and I had to accept that. So I did get a desire to stop drinking in the end, but it wasn't there at first. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. In other words, it's free, but we do try and pay our way with a few pennies each for tea, coffee, rent and some literature. So we are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect. This is most important. It's not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. At the same time, as an individual, you can be allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, and you can engage in any controversy in your life, and you can endorse or oppose causes, because that's your freedom. So no one's going to take away your life, and the only thing you might take away from your life is the need to take in alcohol or substances which become addictions. Our primary purpose then is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So in the process of sharing our experience, strength and hope, you are going to hear a lot of weird and wonderful things that people do, and their freedom to choose what's right for them. So a newcomer has the opportunity to find out through the experience, strength and hope of other people what keeps them sober and how it works, one day at a time. And the key often is learning a new way with humility, not grovelling, just humility, and learning a new way of life for yourself and your path. So fellowship is not there to convert you into anything. It's there to provide you with the freedom to be yourself, and then you choose, or keep on choosing what is right for you. You find your path. Anyway, my reflections this morning, I don't know why they came out this way, but they do sometimes. So a lot to do with responsibilities for me. In the old life, fear, pride and ego meant that we couldn't let go of self-will, willpower, which would let us down, and we were powerless over alcohol, and life had become unmanageable. And it's a horrible feeling that, you know, our personal identity is we know best for ourselves, and yet we find ourselves in a struggle with alcohol or a substance or a behaviour which we can't let go of. And life is unmanageable because we're always thinking along the lines of, I must not run out of whatever it is. In our new life, letting go and asking for help, surrendering and stopping the battle of something bigger than we were, or trying to battle against something, in this case addiction, meant we could embrace courage to change, faith in doing the next right thing, and the confidence that we would be free and independent in our choices, one day at a time. So it takes a bit of time to get to courage, faith and confidence. Those things I lacked personally. I would be strong-willed and self-driven, but I couldn't stop drinking, and life was unmanageable to the point of homelessness and near death more than once. That's as stark as it gets. When we are on the other side of our addiction, by which I mean when we've stopped partaking of whatever it is that was getting in the way, which complicated everything and meant we were completely dependent, we can see the difference in the way we live today, letting go the old life of fear, pride and ego, and especially willpower, which isolated everything we did, and now seeing it's okay to change with courage and faith and confidence, opening the door to a new way of life. On any given day, if we are uncomfortable in our own skin, we can ask for help. This is the whole point of fellowship and learning about where to ask for help if help is needed. Not only in fellowship, we can ask for help from anyone anywhere at any time if they have the knowledge, skill and the willingness to help us. Willingness to help from other people is only possible if we have the humility to ask. Humility meaning we're not grovelling, but we're asking. If we demand, if we feel entitled, if we expect help just because it's me, we are unlikely to receive any help at all. Being open to what the problem is being honest with people and being willing to tell the truth most often opens the door to help. Humility is not grovelling, it is a two-way street of giving and receiving today. So we learn how to give help in recovery and share our experience, strength and hope when we can, in order, hopefully, that the door is open the other way as well, that people will help us when we're in difficulty. And I have good friends who will help me, and other people who will help me if I'm in trouble. We do live in a difficult world, and if we accept it is a difficult world, it ceases to be the issue. We then get down to what may be the issue on a daily basis. But if we say it's all difficult and it's all horrible, we'll get nowhere. We accept people. This is what I do. Well, I accept people the way they are right now. And sometimes it's good, bad and ugly. And sometimes they will be helpful because they're feeling good about life, and at other times they will have no time and no inclination to take account of anything we might ask, so they may be in a bad and ugly situation themselves. Ask yourself, when was the last time you actively helped another person in recovery? I was doing this to myself this morning. It was Saturday actually, and yesterday on the telephone, in person on Saturday, on the telephone on Sunday. If you have to give yourself time to seek out when you last helped the newcomer, which was Saturday for me, and I'm not bragging because it was a little bit of time before that. That's why I'm asking the question this morning of myself as much as anybody else. Ask yourself, when was the last time you actively helped another person in recovery? If you have to give yourself time to seek out when you last helped the newcomer, ask yourself, why does it take me so long to remember the last newcomer I encountered or helped? Freely given and freely received, these are the things that we say to ourselves in recovery. The AA pledge is this: I am responsible when anyone anywhere asks for help. I hope the hand of AA is there, and for that I am responsible. Or I want the hand of AA to be there, and for that I am responsible. Now, right people for right situations, right place, right time. We can't always be the right person, and if we're eager beavers or at it too quickly, we might be treading on the toes of other people who are more appropriate. So I ask myself, am I the right person to be helping? The AA pledge again: I'm responsible when anyone anywhere reaches out for help. I want the hand of AA to be there, and for that I am responsible. Sometimes I might be the right person to be helpful to another person, and sometimes I'm the wrong person completely to be helpful to a new person trying to find recovery. And sometimes meetings of fellowship, this is true, and sometimes meetings of the fellowship and well-established groups can really be unhelpful to the newcomer, because nobody approaches the newcomer and nobody offers them help. And it does happen. It happens around here. And people say, oh no it doesn't, I always help. Do we? Unity, service and recovery, and a reminder to oneself about what to do when a newcomer asks. Maybe we can find a way to be more helpful today. Now, millions of people live close to me in London, UK. Millions. And there are hundreds of fellowship meetings every week. Of course, I haven't been to all of them. So many different types of meeting. A newcomer might wonder what on earth is going on. There are newcomer meetings, there are step meetings, there are tradition meetings, there are meetings with particular titles, and it can be very confusing when the new person encounters the edifice of Alcoholics Anonymous, because it can feel like a pyramid with no way in. The edifice of AA. Notwithstanding which, it requires one person to talk to another person to open the door to meetings. And yet it's like granite sometimes. You know, we're in AA and we're safe within it, but what about those people trying to get in or just not sure? What do we do? So I'm asking myself that question as much as anyone. It really is a good question to be asking. Am I doing enough? Do we do enough? Do we know what sort of impression we create? What is the impact of the fellowship as it is on the rest of the world? Well, for a lot of people, they think it's weird, and you can't go in there. It's the last chance saloon. All sorts of things people think, but they don't really know unless we are able to share in a consistent way what it's all about. Freedom from whatever the addiction is. Freedom to make choices again, to live free, one day at a time. And this edifice, or concrete granite outside looking, what are they like in there? And, happy, joyous and free some of the time. Or shut down, not interested, don't say anything to anybody, don't explain anything to anybody. All those things can be going on. And that is why we have that quote, that pledge: I am responsible when anyone anywhere reaches out for help. I want the hand of AA to be there, and for that I am responsible. Do we know what we're going to say to a newcomer? It can seem very mysterious to have all these different things going on in fellowship, and trying to understand anything when we are shivering denizens is easy to forget as we get time in recovery. And something which happens quite often is the 12 steps are used to judge newcomers rather than help newcomers. I must admit myself, I have not read through the newcomers pack in the last 12 months. I have a newcomers pack in a box behind me. Indeed, I've got more than one pack, which I bought. But I'm not being judgmental on anybody, because it's in a box, it's not on my person. I have a newcomers pack in a box behind me. It ought to be on my person just in case a meeting does not have one when the newcomer walks through the door. And to be truthful, I think it's more than 12 months since I've had that information package available, which includes a where to find with the telephone number of the main office. And why is this important to me? Because I was hearing somebody talk about them doing service at the London office on Saturday, and my ears pricked up, and I thought, hang on a minute, where's my newcomers pack? Am I ready? And the answer is no, because it's in a box behind me, but it will be about my person later. So it ought to be on my person just in case a meeting does not have one when the newcomer walks through the door. And there's lots of meetings I go to which haven't got newcomers packs, and they certainly haven't got where to find. But those details are on the internet. But some shivering denizens don't have access to the internet or any inclination to engage their brains in that way. I've got to up my game a bit here. So I'm glad I got reminded on Saturday. So how am I feeling this morning? Listening to the world news, Cyprus has taken the opportunity for a banking bailout from the EU, although its citizens haven't agreed it and the Parliament haven't agreed it. Somehow it's been agreed that this is what you're going to get, and that's that. A politician returns to Pakistan under threats of being killed. Farmers predict poor crops this year. Stock markets are up across the globe. Our Mayor of London is made to look foolish and is accused of a barefaced lie on television. And it's in the Guardian newspaper with links, video links, to show him being shown up. I'm powerless over all of that. I'm a watcher of it. I'm powerless over it. There's nothing I can do as an individual to change any of those facts or situations. And although it is interesting, what can I do today? Well, I can remind myself of steps 1 to 3, which help me gain perspective of why I'm still alive. Steps 1 to 3 of the 12-step program: powerless over alcohol, and if I drink, life becomes unmanageable. It would be restored to sanity by higher power. For me, that is the truth, love and wisdom of people around me in fellowship and outside of it, who share what's going on, and I can hear it now. And letting go self-will, willpower, and surrendering and stopping the war with myself and trying to prove I can do it on my own. And that helps me gain perspective of why I'm alive. Then remind myself of steps 6 and 7. Step 6, the old life of fear, pride and ego. Those were the big things which got in the way. And step 7, the new life of courage, faith and confidence, growing or not, depending how the day is going. We can go 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or 10 steps backward and 1 step forward. Depends how good, bad and ugly things are. And then steps 10 to 12, always a chance for a spot check inventory. How am I doing? Why am I finding myself in this situation yet again? Step 11, prayer, meditation or simple reflection and my responsibility to be helpful. In step 12, if I may, and if opportunity happens today. With all that in mind, there is a good chance that I will have freedom to choose, freedom to be happy and freedom to be helpful today. And it's not said with anything but humility, and also maybe a harsh judgment on myself by not being prepared as much as I could be. And yes, you might say, it's easy for you to say that. You don't have the life that I have right now. And very true, you might be having a bad time. Because I don't know your circumstances. And actually, you don't know all of my circumstances, which inhibit the amount of things I can do. But there are things I can do. Humility is the key to all the steps, and asking for help always means we have to try and find the right person at the right time in the right place if we're trying to help newcomers. Sometimes we are the person who is in the right place at the right time and can be helpful if we are equipped. We are, because we know what it's like. You know, we have the absolute knowledge of how horrible it is to be a shivering denizen who might turn up really smart and angry and horrible, or they may turn up as a ragamuffin like I did, which just means like a rag doll. If we are equipped and if we are open, honest and willing to try. And if we realise we might not be the right person, do we know someone who can or could be right to help? Do I have that information pack at hand? I need to look at all my contacts in my telephone and remind myself not only how lucky I am to have these contacts, that chance might offer another person we have in mind because we are in fellowship. This week maybe it's time I made sure I go to a newcomers meeting. I have made myself aware of what to do if anybody asks for help. I hope I am ready and able, or I know somebody who can today. When it comes to newcomers, face to face is always the best way forward. And if we can, we do. I guess that's true of everybody. But I think I could be a bit more prepared in terms of a reminder to myself what it's like. Have I read the newcomers pack? What do they expect? You know, AA can be daunting. It's, you know, around here it's like a labyrinth of meetings, all with these different titles: steps, traditions, lest we forget, courage to change, are you in the right place? Well, there isn't one called that, but there ought to be. Are you in the right place? Should be a newcomers meeting called that. I don't know. Who knows? Time will tell. When I feel other things which impact me, I am sorry for shuffling, but sometimes it's just very difficult to sit, let alone do anything else, depending on my other conditions, so I apologise for fidgeting. Newcomers, so important. They are the lifeblood of fellowship, and yet I know I can be forgetful, and I was reminded on Saturday that it was good to see someone back, and they knew they were in the right place, but it was still horrible and they didn't want to be there. So how do we get a person comfortable to be back on the journey? Well, we can show them love and share the people that we know might be helpful as much as we can, and stress that fellowship is sober first so the rest of life can happen. and don't complicate the issues with anything else. The serenity prayer, shortened down to can do, can't do, wisdom to know the difference. I often need to work out what I can do and what I cannot do, and I need to apply it to newcomers as much as anything else. Right person, right place, wrong person. Maybe there's another right person who we know who can help, and if you're in fellowship you know exactly what I mean, I hope. But a gentle reminder, because I forget. If I forget and I'm doing this all the time, trying to share experience, strength and hope, if I can be that forgetful myself about newcomers, I think we all can, or I feel that we all can. Serenity prayer, can do, help if I can, cannot do, some people I'm not right for. I've learned the wisdom over the years where that is, and every day when I encounter a newcomer I need to bear that in mind. There are lots of people who are more appropriate for lots of other people out there. Breaking that serenity prayer down, it's God grant me the serenity and restoration to sanity sometimes, asking for help. Grant me the serenity or sanity to accept what I cannot do, to accept the things I cannot change, and then have the courage to change the things I can, and keep on learning the wisdom to know the difference. So without adulteration, this is the serenity prayer to the God of your understanding, or simply good conscience, or simply a power greater than you. Whatever it might be, whatever it is for you, is all that is important. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And it only works in the moment, by the minute, hour, and just for today.